O'Kane. Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Aye. Move we adjourn the closed session. Second.
Shaner.
Here.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Call the roll when you're
Aye.
ready.
Aye.
Call the roll.
Scott. Waters.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
O'Kane.
Here.
Shaner.
Here.
Can we stand for a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Today we'll start with the consent agenda, items 2 through 11C. Considered all these items passed unanimously unless a separate roll call vote is asked for by a council member. If you want to speak on an item, please come up as I read that number and state your name and address again so that we can have that for the record. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please do it under citizen concerns. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
2 is a reading of the March 6th and 11th City Council minutes. 3 is a resolution rejecting bid received for the FY 2024 fiber optic project. 4 is a resolution authorizing an airport improvement grant application for runway and taxiway rehabilitation project at the airport. 5 are items 5A to D are resolutions scheduling hearings on proposed amended and restated plans for Teton, combined Central Sioux City, CBD, Donner Park, and combined Floyd River Urban Renewal Project areas. 6 are actions adopting construction documents. A is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the construction of the 2024 fiber optic project. 5 is a resolution adopting plans and specs for the construction of the Isabella Square infrastructure improvement project. 7 are actions relating to grants and agreements and contract. A is a resolution approving a contract to K2 Real Estate Development for the construction of the Big Sioux River Bridge Crossing Phase 2 project. Siouxland Trails Foundation check presentation for the pedestrian bridge. Come on up, who's ever doing that.
Good afternoon.
Graham.
Graham McGaffin, President of the Siouxland Trails Foundation. Bob DeSmit, past President of the Siouxland Trails Foundation, that was President when much of the money was received that we are excited to hand over.
Okay.
Physically, Matt, I guess, right? And important to point out that, we're tremendously excited about the bridge, about the expansion of trails, the connection of trails to our neighbors in South Dakota, and have many of them to thank for this. Money was raised back in, Bob, 2008?
Year before the flood.
There you go.
Yep. A lot of which was from Dunes residents.
About 1/3. We actually raised a total of $150,000. Some of it was from national organizations. When the project did not go forward, we had to refund about 50, but left us 100,000. And roughly 1/3 of the money was raised from Dune residents, and the other 2/3 from Sioux City and other metro area people. So,
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's exciting.
Way to go.
Done.
Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. I'd just like to thank the Siouxland Trails for all their support, not only of this project, but all of our projects, either monetarily or just their support in general. So thank you very
No
much.
doubt.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys. Graham, we got to get you a big check or something for it. Come on.
We'll take them any size.
Yeah.
It's hard to carry, but I mean, yeah, no doubt.
B is a resolution terminating the lease agreement of Lamb Arts for the use of the property at 417 Market Street. I need to abstain, conflict of interest.
And, 1 second, Mayor.
Is this the right time to do this?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Russell Woolley with Lamb Theater. This is my wife, Diana Woolley, also with Lamb Theater. First of all, I would just like to say thank you to the council and the city for the 38 years that we were at 417 Market Street. I mean, when we entered into that arrangement, it allowed Lamb to really grow and become a regional theater presence with national recognition from New York to Chicago to Minneapolis to Los Angeles. And without that, we would not be here. I mean, I truly thank you. That building at 417 Market served us very well. It was built, it opened February 10th, 1939, so it's a little over 85 years old. And it's showing those 85 years. So we drafted a letter. I hope you were all, and it's just what our position, and if there's any questions or nothing, or we can just sit down.
An extension is what you would like as far as
Yes.
clearing out your items?
Yeah,
Just-
so that we can.
I think that through our legal department, you know, we can accommodate some sort of an extension, and Nicole, you know better the process than I do.
Sure. The current resolution and the notice of termination that's before the council today, the lease requires a 10-day notice, which as drafted, it's been extended to 30 days, but the council can certainly elect to change that time period. It would require a motion to amend the item on the floor with whatever the time frame is that the council would elect to decide.
I have a question for you. So if we would change that from 30 days to, for example, 60 days or 90 days, when we get to the end of that period, could council then further extend that if they ran into problems of moving all of their personal property items out of the building?
Well, it's a modification of the lease agreement, but the council can provide that direction if you choose. So we're already modifying from 10 days, so that would be
Similar to what
permissible.
we're doing today with the 30 days?
Correct, but it would take a resolution of the council to extend that.
Thank you.
You guys want to do anything, or are we moving on?
I'd like to move to extend it to 90 days.
I'll second that. So I guess we're making a motion to amend,
I'd like to make a motion to amend.
and I'll second the motion to amend from the 30 days to the 90 days.
Waters.
Aye. Aye, I said aye, sorry.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Staying.
And then
Okay.
See how it goes.
And then on the original,
It's part of the.
it's part of the consent agenda, so
Oh.
you'll be voting as amended as part of the consent.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, guys.
These are resolution approving a one-time equivalent incentive credit offer from Verizon Wireless in connection with the CAD, AVL, and mobile fare pay system at Sioux City Transit. D is a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement with the Iowa Department of Public Defense for environmental assessment work in connection with the airfield construction projects at the airport. 8 is actions authorizing payments. A is a resolution approving funds transfers for February. B is a motion approving claims, expenses, and receipts for February. 9 are purchasing. A, resolution awarding purchase order to Converge 1 for Extreme Network switches. B is a resolution awarding purchase orders to Arms Unlimited for magazine slings, EOTech Red Dot sights, to Kaiser Police for gun lights and rifle cases, to Sioux Sales Company for magazines, long cases, and RDS Red Dot sights, and to Range Masters for rifles of the police department. I didn't have time to go through all that, but if you look at a lot of those deals, the local vendor, if you're breaking this bid out like they broke it out, actually is within the 2%.
Is it? Is that the case? I didn't get to
Yeah.
crunch the
You
numbers.
look at a lot of those, if you look at a lot of the bids, we have a preference for local bidders at 2%, if they're within 2. And Sioux, not on the guns, I understand that deal, but on a lot of the smaller stuff, I think they're within 2% on a lot of that stuff.
Lieutenant Brad Bollinger, Sioux City Police Department. If they're within the
allowable range by council, I have no problem with purchasing them locally.
Well, I'm just saying they're within the 2%, if you look at that, Nicole.
And is that, you're talking item by item, Mayor?
Go item by item.
I think everything but the rifles.
Is 2%.
Aren't they, Spiro, or did I misread that?
Yeah, I'd have to go in and look at the percentages, but.
Well, you got 1175, who's that? Who is that one? Okay, go down. $11. Maybe not, maybe I misread it, but
Correct, on the magazines, on the first column.
Because I know some of them were awarded, right? You're awarding some to Sioux Sales.
Yes.
right,
Yes.
but I'm.
Yeah.
The
The
way
ones
this
that you're
thing
not,
did,
if they're within.
you'd have to do it pretty different. And maybe maybe there's only 2 or 3. In the future, I wish we would know that, Spiro, is all I'm asking.
Sure, definitely. And we can bring it back next week if you'd like us to redo the resolution, or the RCA with.
Let's do that,
all
even though you have
information in
3
there.
items with the local
Yep.
vendor. Let's defer it for.
We can do that.
Make sure.
Okay, I moved to defer for.
Okay.
Maybe it's not what I think it is, but look,
Yep, we can do
they
it.
were close on some stuff.
All right.
Moore,
Aye.
O'Kane,
Aye.
Shaner, Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
10 are applications for beer and liquor license, 11's of boards, commission, and committee meetings. Anyone to be heard on any of those items? Passes 5-0. Recommendations of planning and zoning. 12 is a resolution approving the final plat of Isabella Square on West Fifth Street. The petitioner is Isabella Square Developers. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Dan, I wanted to chat just for a moment or bring it up to your attention and the rest of council as well. I was meant to text you and then, or touch base with you, and I didn't get a chance to. So then I was talking to Jeff Hansen about a different matter, and he told me he's kind of working on this project with you. The question that I had posed to him, and it's my understanding that at least a couple of them are, but I just was having a larger conversation just about zero entry units in our community, and doing everything we can with some of these new developments to really lean into that and try to make them as accessible both for those with mobility impairments, but also, you know, thinking about our senior advisory committee or the desire to maybe become an AARP certified community. Like those different types of things can really be attractive to a lot of different generations and different people in our community and those looking to move here. And so it's my understanding this project has 2 of them. Is that correct?
That's right. Dan Hayes wrote Isabella Square Developers, LLC. Yeah, the plan is the 2, I don't remember their addresses, but it would be the furthest 2 to the southwest.
Yeah.
Should be zero entry in the garage area.
Great.
The plan. If we could get the front door as well, or maybe one step or ramp it, we'll try that as well.
Yeah.
That's the best area we can try for. So yeah, we'll try to do those. And in those homes as well, we'll make sure the door widths are adequate throughout the home.
Great.
We always try to make them a little bigger anyway, but yeah, that's the plan, those top 2 to be zero entry.
That'd be great. And I think just especially in some of the areas you're looking or things you're doing, like what I was saying to Jeff and what I would encourage you to think about is, look, I don't want it to substantially add to your bottom line either. I mean, but if, you know, there's nothing substantial to be able to do that and the topography would lend itself well to be able to do that.
Sure.
I would really encourage you, as I will encourage future developers, to kind of lean into that or try to find different areas of our community to be able to, you know, sprinkle them throughout our community so that people with different mobility impairments or different needs, or if they're looking to a different property, would at least have those options maybe in their neighborhood.
Sure, I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, like you mentioned, it's an older demographic of population as people grow, or as population gets older. That zero entry is a big seller. It helps everyone around the whole area. Sioux City's a little complicated, of course, because with
The topography,
terrain.
man, I'm telling you, I look at houses and I'm like, yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna
Very
find all
hard
the,
to
yeah.
necessarily get it to work, just zero entry, and then comply with all the other setbacks and standards and
Correct,
drainage
yeah.
issues. But yeah, for this development, we have a couple we're definitely are targeting. If we can do maybe 4 possibly, we'll see how it goes once we get everything kind of set, but that's the plan.
Yeah, if I could have a long conversation with whoever develops split-level houses, I would really love to have that conversation someday, but no. I would really appreciate that. The last caveat that I would give you when you're thinking about whether it's your apartment complexes, future developments, or homes such as this, I recently toured a couple new units that were more the accessible units, and one thing that I noticed probably more so than others maybe would just be the use of a roll-in shower versus a tub or that type of thing. And sometimes that can be an easy oversight, but in my experience of that inclusive design of having that, you know, a tiled floor that maybe slopes to a floor drain, gosh, you can put a bench in there, you could have it available and have grab bars, and in my experience, it's aesthetically attractive for an able-bodied person, you know what I mean? Like that nowadays, the people are tiling their full shower all the time. And so I think that that's another thing where, granted, tile might be more expensive than an insert, but just urge you to, at least in the handicap accessible unit, to think about those types of things too, because if, you know, I'm going into a handicap unit of some type and there's a shower, it's like, well, I'm not going to be able to utilize that, and then I'm going to smell, and these guys won't want to serve with me. So there's a lot of problems there, but.
Sure. No, we still need to get you out to the ridge sometime. I know, I think you'd called a month or so ago, but it was right like before a snow or cold weather spell. But
you're good, man.
But yeah, I'd love to have you check the ADA units that we have there to see if they work, if they seem like they're the right. I mean, they're supposed to be, and there's the bench in them.
Sure.
But there's always ways to enhance that and make it more accessible. So I'd love to have your comments and have you come out sometime. So.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Okay.
And yeah, I liked this project. I was excited about it and chatting with Jeff, so I just wanted to at least in front of the rest of council and update you, but appreciate your work on this and excited for the project.
Sure. Yeah, it's great to get started. We should be doing dirt work hopefully within about 3 weeks we'll start. And then we'll start homes soon after that. So probably some coming up out of the ground here within 6 weeks or so. So I'll make sure to keep you guys
Bill's
posted.
looking forward to a groundbreaking.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So
I am too.
just the showers was why we would want to serve with you?
Yeah, exactly. One of the reasons, Dan, one of them.
Dan, thank you so
For
much
sure.
for working on this.
Sure.
You know, it's been a long time coming. We started
It
this
has.
a long time ago.
Yep,
and
but we're getting there. So.
Yep, we're getting there.
Well, thank
and
you.
It means a lot to the community. Thank you.
Thanks.
Need to vote. Passes 5-0. 13 is a resolution approving the final plat of 158th Street addition property at 5925 158th Street. The petitioner is Wesley Hinow, Conley Development. P and Z recommends approval. Somebody else will have to move that.
I need to abstain on this. I have a conflict of interest.
You have one too?
I'll move it.
Second?
I don't think I have a conflict of interest, but I'm going to abstain under that because my daughters work for the school, so. Passes 3-0-2. Mr. Moore and I abstain. 14 is a hearing and ordinance placing a newly annexed territory of 7121 Andrew Avenue in the zone classification general industrial. The petitioner is the city of Sioux City. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Public hearing's now open. Do you have anything for this, Mr. Gleiser?
Andrew Gleiser, Planning and Zoning Chair. No, this was a pretty easy one for us. It was 6-0 vote.
Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed.
Easy day for you, man.
They're all easy, Jason. Right.
Passes 5-0. 15 is a hearing and ordinance amending the municipal code to update the requirements for digital display signs and off-premise advertising signs. The petitioner of Sioux City, P and Z recommends approval. Oh, we got to do second, third, I'm sorry. On item 14, is anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move that.
Second.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
I'll move second and third.
Second.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott. Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Now 15 is a hearing and ordinance amending the municipal code to update the requirements for digital display signs and off-premise advertising signs. The petitioner is the city of Sioux City. P and Z recommends approval. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. This is guaranteed now. We'll never have to talk about signs the rest of your time you're on P and Z and the rest of the time I'm on council, right? This does it. This wraps it up.
Well, I think if you're off council by the time the viaduct gets done, we should be good. But
We get to start a timer?
Oh,
Is there a
yeah.
timer we can start? You got a date or something? Things need updating, Mayor. Things need up.
When you get a good shower again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dan could get those projects done, I tell you.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. I know I gotta do it. I'm turning the page. Anybody opposed to waiving the statutory rule?
No.
I'll move that.
Second.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. I'll move second and third.
Second.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
Shaner. Scott. Waters.
Aye.
Hearing 16 is a hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Perry Lane reconstruction project. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 17 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to sell certain real property adjacent to 2547 South Helen Street. The petitioner is Nicole L. Nelson. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 18 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to sell certain real property adjacent to 610 Castleman Street. The petitioner's Rent Sucks LLC. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 19 is a hearing and resolution approving the proposal to grant an electric easement on the city-owned property adjacent to 220 Kings Highway. The petitioner is Mid-America Energy Company. I'll move that.
Second.
Hearing's now open. Anyone to be heard? Seeing none, the hearing is closed. Passes 5-0. 20 is a hearing and a resolution announcing the intent to accept the proposals for the sale of land in the Donner Park Urban Renewal Area, fixing a date for public hearing and providing a notice thereof, property of 6,000 block of Al Haynes Drive and 6,100 block of Southbridge Drive. Motion requested to defer this item to March 25th, 2024. I'll move that.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 21 is a resolution amending resolution number 2022-0415 relating to the hearing on manager's report on demolition of and the resolution authorizing the city manager to demolish said structure by authorizing a 90-day delay in demolition property at 1808 Rustin Street. The petitioner, property owner is Todd Pedersen. I'll move that.
Second.
Go ahead, Darrell.
This property has been, was tagged for quite some time. It did have to go through some foreclosures and processing. The property was secured at all times, so we really didn't have any issues with nuisances or anything like that on it while it was being red tagged. But we have received $10,000 cashier's check for the bond requirement and all other documentation, so staff would request stay of demolition.
Stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Darrell.
I'm going to abstain because I have a connection to the family. 22 is a resolution awarding and approving a contract to Subsurfco for the Buckwalter Drive Storm Sewer Outfall Repair Project deferred from March 11th. I'll move that, or I won't move it.
I'll move it.
You got a conflict too?
Second. Subsurfco.
Yeah, you're okay. My bad. I was thinking it was that.
That was the other one. Yeah. You second? Thank you.
I abstained, conflict of interest. It passes 4-1. 23 is a resolution approving the payment to Thompson Solution Group for energy electric repairs at the Central Maintenance Garage and Field Services.
I'll move it.
Second.
Busy.
Passes 4-1, or 4-0-1. I abstain. I have a conflict of interest. 24 is a resolution authorizing a request for release of funds and an environmental review and assessment regarding the Home Investment Partnership American Rescue Plan related to the Asher Apartment Project. I'll move that.
Second.
Deferred from March 11th, I'm sorry.
I have a conflict of interest on this one, so I'm abstaining.
It's lucky the three of us showed up so we could do some.
Passes 4-0-1. Mr. Moore abstains. Next up is the construction manager resolution approving the construction manager at-risk delivery method for the wastewater treatment facility plan improvement project phase 1.
I'll move it.
Second.
I want to remind everyone that the advisory committee recommended approval of the construction manager at risk delivery method.
100% vote in favor of.
Bob, I know
Last
you
week,
were.
you were absent. I explained that you and I and the city manager are abstaining from committee votes because it's a recommendation that's made to the city council.
Correct.
And I know, Matthew, I asked Tom to reach out to you and kind of talk to you about the presentation of it as well. And I know you had concerns. Bob, you were reaching out to Ehlers, or someone was to.
Maybe Nicole could comment. We received a response back from regarding
Ehlers, yeah.
section of the code that dealt with CMAR and labor agreements.
If the construction manager at risk is self-performing, then they have to honor their own labor agreements or labor contracts. That's the direct connection, but if they're not self-performing, then they do not, and that's how the statute is written.
But there is a mini Davis-Bacon wage.
Correct. Because of the funding that's being utilized by the city for SRF, they do have to comply with Davis-Bacon. And then the ARPA funds also require additional federal requirements for wage and dollar.
Okay. So while some of those concerns, like Matthew, while I understand, I guess, some of the concerns that maybe would be raised by labor regarding some of these projects, there are different just safety systems that are in place due to the funding structures of these where different wages or will
For the
have.
funding for the wages, but from what I understand, they're still able to not honor a collective bargaining agreement from a company. So depending on who's performing in what role, is that wrong?
That's correct. That's correct.
So that would be.
Any of the other agreements, you mean, that would be a part of that?
I guess my understanding was they're not bound to honor agreements of the subcontractor, but the subcontractor, if they have agreements with their labor, are still bound by their own agreements with the labor. That's how I read that.
Okay.
But the wage rates are similar.
Yeah, but the wage rates are set by Iowa.
The only thing it's not a huge deal, but I would have thought that Hazen would have had more, I mean, when all of those that they gave, they're not the engineer on 90% of the projects, right? I mean, their history here, I guess I hope they have, they say they have all these people, but I gave you one name and it looks like he's on 4 of those jobs and they didn't even know that guy. And they're all Midwest within 250 miles of Sioux City, right? McCarthy's over in Cedar Rapids. They're like 3 or 4 right around us, and your engineer didn't even know their name.
Tom Pingle, Utilities Director. You're correct. They, in the initial list that they provided, they did not mention McCarthy, but you had it spelled.
Well, but in this list that they put together, McCarthy's on 3 or 4 of those jobs right in our backyard.
Yeah,
So, I don't know.
Those were, as I understood, they were mostly the Black and Veatch projects, I think. Is that what you saw as well?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just was, I mean, I knew they did some work because I Googled them myself to find Sioux Falls, but I didn't realize they were.
So you were just curious why they weren't on the initial list that was provided?
Yeah, because they kind of look like they're a sewer and water plant builder around here, so I know they're big.
But not that they would be excluded, they just weren't included.
No, I just want to make sure that.
They know those players, especially local, yeah.
Yeah, they have an office in Omaha and they're out of St. Louis, so they're not around here anyway, but I think they might even have an office in Des Moines, I'm not sure, but.
Yeah. And Tom, I mean, I thought the presentation last week was good and thorough and answered any questions that I would have. I would just reiterate my concern or my direction that I would hope that we would err on the side of local labor. I think that sometimes we get these larger jobs and, different things are outsourced or brought in different companies. And obviously I understand a project this scale is going to require a company of a larger scale that might not be exactly right here in Sioux City, but I think that the subs and a lot of the different work can be done with the labor that we have right here. I think we have a lot of great men and women that are ready to get to work on a project like this. And anything that we can err towards that or encourage or facilitate would be appreciated. Although I do understand in general how going through this method for probably the same reasons that the advisory committee came up with, I think there can be some cost saving and really some, direction given throughout the process rather than just given a blueprint and expected to meet that mark. I think that this is more collaborative in nature and a chance to save taxpayer dollars, but ultimately I hope that preference can be given to a lot of our local companies and subs where applicable.
100% agree.
Thank you.
I'll just say I'm not comfortable with it. If labor's not comfortable with it, I'm not comfortable with it. And I appreciate your interpretation of it, and I hope that that's the case, that they're still bound by their collective bargaining agreements, but I wouldn't be comfortable voting for it today.
What is your concern? Like Thompson could go down there and not use labor?
No, I'm concerned that collective bargaining agreements with the contractor would not,
First of all,
they wouldn't be responsible to be held to their agreements with their parent company, I suppose. I'm concerned that the construction manager would be able to bypass agreements with
subs.
Yeah.
This may help, I guess, alleviate the concern. I'll just read it verbatim, if that helps. The reading of 26A.3 sub 5, sub A, sub 4 is that a CMAR must comply with any of its own labor agreements when it self-performs work on the project, when it is actually engaging in construction on the project. However, it is not required to comply with its own labor agreements when it is not self-performing work and is only acting as the construction manager.
But that wouldn't inhibit them from subcontractors honoring their own.
Correct.
Correct.
How I read that is
Right.
the subcontractor won't enforce the CMAR's labor contract with their people. That's how I read it. But they have their own contracts. Yeah.
Well, a straight CM might have two guys on the job and their suitcase and everything, so then the local contractors have to honor their own agreements, so I don't, this is a little different. These guys are gonna, the names you came up with, they're gonna self-perform a whole lot of this, there's no question, and they're gonna have to honor if they're union, they're gonna have to honor that contract.
Yeah, not only their contract, but also the wages that are held to the standards of SRF and the ARPA funds, I mean, to those different things, yeah.
I'm not sure what a carpenter's scale is, but I think I read $35 and $13 worth of benefits, so that's got to be within the realm of reasonability, I would guess. I'm sure Ernie will text me in 2 minutes and tell me, but
yeah,
I think that's got to be reasonably, I mean, it's not enough to knock a guy out of bidding that job, that's for sure.
Which is my hope, exactly. So, yeah, thank you.
That makes me feel a little better.
I appreciate you at least bringing it up though, Matthew, or, because I'm always trying to think of different angles and different concerns and stuff, so for sure.
Well, I'm concerned about that, and I don't want to alienate any local companies because we.
Which is why, I reiterated that last week and this week is, yeah, for sure, preference. We've seen that happen in other communities.
That's been brought up by the committee more.
Yeah, we're waiting on O'Kane and Shaner.
Passes 5-0. Citizen concerns, come forward and state your name and address, please, for the record. Anyone to be heard?
My name's Jim Jung, J-U-N-G, 2222 Jackson Street. I'm here today representing myself. I'm vice chair of the Inclusive Committee. This doesn't reflect on, nothing reflects on the committee. We haven't had any meetings about this or anything. This is my feelings, okay? And I'm here in support of Semhar, the inclusive liaison. And when this memo came out and was given to her, you know I come in front of you when I'm concerned about things. Basically cutting the memo down so I won't read it all. She's to stay at home. She's to contact her supervisor. She's suspended. Supervisor will tell her when it ends. She's been on it 30 days Thursday. By the way, public records will know about all this information, and no reason was given on this memo of why she's at home. So I'm here to show my support for Semhar. Dan, you know I was on the committee day one. I was on all the selection process for Semhar. She's a gift. I was going to say that later, but I'm going to say it now. She's a rare occurrence. The city's valued my input in the past, and that's why I'm here today. The memo's unusual. Samar is intelligent, driven. She's an amazing individual. We have people in the room from different parts of the city that are here to show their support for her. Some will speak, some won't. She's done things like The Sounds of West 7th Street, the talent show, which was unbelievable. She's done different dialogue series. She's affected a lot of people across Sioux City. I'm concerned. And her intern was let go also, so I'm even more concerned. A 21-year-old college student is suspended. So I'll leave it at that. I could say a lot more.
Thank you.
Ike Rayford, 2112 South Henry Street. I also am here in regards to what I have heard and what I've seen as it relates to Simhar's, I guess, suspension. I understand that, employment issues aren't always discussed, but you all know that was on the council when we created the position and came up with the position. And so this position is very important to the NAACP as well as to the community. And so I don't understand when I read what was stated. It was very just vague, and it really made no sense. And so just as Jim has said, we are concerned, and we would love to know what needs to happen and what we can do to ensure that she is protected, and because I believe she has done the job that she was hired to do.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Stacy Alex. I live at 3121 Orleans Avenue. I am the mother of 2 bilingual children, and one of them is at our dual language program here in Sioux City. It's really one of the reasons I was able to convince my European husband to move here, I'll be really honest. Because I told him, right, this is a forward-thinking community, right? And I'm very proud of this community and what it's done, right, in terms of making people feel welcome, right? So I, for both professional and personal reasons, I'm very invested in making sure that we are a welcoming place for immigrants and people of all linguistic and cultural backgrounds. So I'm very concerned to learn that the community liaison was suspended. And I'm also here, thanks for the segue, to talk about that 21-year-old college student who I am in regular contact with and I work with regularly. That was her only source of income. And she's trying to graduate. So I'm real concerned there. But also, more than anything, I'm just so indebted to both of them for all of the work that they have done for this community. I've personally benefited by receiving free training. I've benefited by I've gotten lots of resources for my own students. I've also benefited just with my own kids. I've taken them to excellent programming that we would not have without that liaison position. And more specifically, Samhar had a pulse on the community and was able to make connections across community, right? And I really benefited as a newcomer, right, to have somebody really help make those connections for me, both personally and professionally. So I have Robert's Rules of Order. Can I ask questions, or is that allowed?
We're not allowed to answer.
Okay, that's fine. But I will just pose them for you in terms of thinking through next steps, right? The first question I have is, it seems obvious that this community knows that job is important, that this work is important, right? Otherwise, we would not have invested in it. I'm concerned about the impression we're giving the public about how that work can suddenly come to a halt, right? So the questions I have, the first one is, will you, and sometime in the future, share what future plans there are for the community liaison position, or when that information will be shared with the public? So any sort of public communication would be appreciated. The second part, I really hope that we get some answers about, were there any alternatives considered other than suspension in dealing with this issue? Thank you for your time.
Trish Rivers, Sioux City residents. I'm also here to talk about Samhar. I'm not sure why she was suspended or what for. And this city has an obligation, right? We put that into our plan, that inclusivity was a part of that. So I don't understand how a pregnant Black woman who was hired to be in this position is now suspended. I don't get it. I don't. How is that inclusive to our city? I don't understand that. I want answers. I think we all deserve answers. You are going to have to answer to that. Because trust me, next time, this whole room is going to be full. I can promise you that. I'm really upset. What is going on? What are you doing to set an example for the city? We got to do better. We must do better. We are the second most diverse county here in the state of Iowa. And we're doing this to a pregnant Black woman. Do none of you care? Bob, do you care?
Yeah, I don't think that's the point. The point is that Simhar has hired an attorney. When someone hires an attorney, we don't have the privilege or the opportunity to say anything in the public about that. So we're
Additionally,
not going to, on the advice of our attorney.
I understand
we're not
that.
going to
I
be able to
understand
answer your
litigation. I
question
understand
today.
that fully.
Additionally, personnel matters are confidential, and the city is prohibited from public comments.
I understand that.
Okay.
But I don't want to hear it no more. It's
That's fine.
unacceptable.
Okay.
And we can agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, it's unacceptable. We need to do better.
I apologize. I spoke over you. I apologize for speaking
Hello.
over you.
Hi. Today, I also want to speak in support of Semhart Gibber-Keaton and the things that she has done for us, the people of Sioux City.
May we have your name and address, please?
Oh, yes, Mariana Pacheco, and I live at 4409 Wellington Avenue. So again, I want to speak in support of Semhart Gibber-Keaton and what she does for us, as we have heard, and the people in Sioux City. I want to point out the prejudice and persecutorial attitudes exhibited by you, the council, towards Semhart Gibber-Keaton. I'm going to speak of how she has changed my life as an educator, and I would also like to talk about how she has changed the lives of my students by simply showing up. Semhart has exhibited an exceptional commitment to our community. She has actively engaged in multiple instructional sessions within my classes, enriching our discussions and conveying invaluable insight derived from her advanced academic background and exemplary communication skills. Through her involvement, she has broadened the horizons of my students, helped them believe, instilling a sense of inspiration and this belief that they have great potential and that they too can attain academic excellence, while also working for Sioux City, which isn't that what we want to do, to make sure that we don't outsource our talent. It is a shame that instead of acknowledging Semhart's valuable contributions to the community, your perspective is blinded by animosity, leading to cruel measures such as unwarranted and unlawful house arrest upon a pregnant woman who you all know is in high risk. In my perspective, Semhar's role was centered around fostering a more inclusive workplace environment in accordance with your own objectives outlined in your strategic plan for the city of Sioux City. Instances such as these effectively nullify the progress achieved thus far and reflect a blatant disregard for the principles of inclusivity and care for all people who live in the city of Sioux City. I find it deeply troubling that our taxpayer funds are being utilized to continue to harm an individual who has done nothing other than attempt to make our city a better place for everyone. I sincerely hope that you truly reevaluate the decisions that you made thus far and see the harm that you have inflicted not only on Semhart, but on the people in the community, and take actions as a means to restore hope in your obligations as elected officials. Thank you.
I'm Dr. Patrick Brow. I live at 4409 Wellington Street, Sioux City, Iowa. I'm here to speak on behalf of SEM as well, but I know a lot of the members who've already spoken before me have spoken much to her strength of character and her compassion to the community that she lives in. My job right now is as a physician. One of the reasons why I decided to take the microphone today is to discuss the risks that SEM is currently facing being suspended and experiencing undue duress due to her suspension. Now, probably many of the members on the council are aware that there is grim statistics regarding the morbid outcomes of Black women that face across this country. Within the United States itself, women of color experience about 3 to 4 times more mortality compared to that of white women. Now, not to speak of death, but there's also adverse outcomes like preterm delivery. Black women experience about 2 to 4 times more risk of having an adverse outcome of deliveries such as preterm delivery or stillbirth. Now, the reason why this occurs is largely because of the stress that occurs or is experienced during pregnancy. Now, pregnancy, I'm sure maybe some of the members on the council can attest to in pregnancy, it's part of that. But unfortunately, external stress also plays a role. You know, factors such as social pressures, experiencing hostile interactions with other members of the community certainly can play a role in that. Now, I know everyone here has family, and certainly we want to make sure that we take care of ours. But what I want you guys to think about is the growing family with SEM. I want you guys to consider your role in her pregnancy and the stress that has been imposed on her as a result of this suspension. Now, the last thing I want to speak about is in the memo that was leaked. I read on that there was any scheduled care needs to be directed through her supervisor. My concern is that when we impose barriers in front of people when they seek care, that limits their willingness to actually seek it. If something were to happen where, let's say, a pregnant person has a question, is this normal? Is my baby okay? Any step between them and seeking care can be a barrier to them actually acquiring it, and that can lead to adverse outcomes. So with that, I want you guys to consider that when you guys are evaluating this situation regarding SEM. And with that, I'm done.
My name's Logan Arguello, and I live at 1920 Boyce Street. My wife is Semhar Geber-Keaton. There have been many times that I've wanted to come in front of City Council and voice my concerns, but my wife has always asked me to refrain. I didn't say anything when Karen Mackey paid a stalker to spy on her. I didn't say anything when she was almost shot while working. I didn't say anything when Janelle from HR was creating issues for her regarding accommodations for her pregnancy. I didn't say anything when Cole from Legal was constantly reporting her for dress code violations that were untrue. I didn't say anything when her performance was brought up last year by Matthew or this year by Alex at the public budget meeting, even though that is not a normal thing to do. When my wife won awards for DEI, it was because of her friends and I nominated her, as we see the value and the work that she does for this community. It seems the city only appreciates my wife when it's easy and it makes you look good. As soon as it is uncomfortable, you lash out and hurt her. I didn't say anything because my wife handled all these incidents and more without any support, but I do have to say something about what you did to her almost 4 weeks ago. You put my wife on suspension for doing her job, which was calling out social injustices at the city of Sioux City. You did that without any legitimate justification, humanity, or concern for the life of our unborn child. Knowing that she has a high-risk pregnancy, you did not care if it shocked her into a miscarriage or cared about her well-being, professionally and mentally. You have placed her under house arrest during work hours, cut her off from the work she does, and created unrest in our community. You have created stress in my home and in her heart. To see people like Bob Padmore, who allowed abuse to happen to my wife for 2 years without any effort to resolve anything, to then turn around and abuse her yourself is disgusting. If you didn't want her to do the job, you shouldn't have hired her. Or maybe you thought you could control her and she would sit there like a token. Unfortunately for you, she made something of herself, whether you believed in her or not, and I think that makes you worried. Julie, as someone who knows that Selmar helped you with your campaign, including putting numerous yard signs up for you, it was alarming to see you switch your behavior towards her. And Alex, it's infuriating that my wife trusted you with information only for you to weaponize it against her, challenging her competency and her position. Being part of the minority community doesn't automatically make you the best advocate. You let her down with your actions. I will remember this if you ever decide to run in the future. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I am proud of the work that my wife has done for the community and what she has accomplished in her short time of being here. Thank you.
My name is Britton Hackey, 603 36th Street. And I just wanted to come up and say my experience with SEM as a father of a trans child who's on the spectrum, who experienced extremely bad bullying at North Middle. Nobody would listen to us. In fact, we addressed it with the principal, and the principal came back with transphobic statements towards my child. And SEM was the only one that I could get to listen and actually helped us to move our child to a different school. So, and I know that SEM, I've worked with SEM on several inclusivity events in town that have been really successful. So I think SEM's an asset to the community.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Ben Kneffler, 3829 Jones Street. And I'm going to put a little story to this thing, and I'll be quick. But I don't know the circumstances, and I'm not going to point fingers. I'm only going to talk about my experience quickly. And at the end of it, so everybody knows, I'm going to encourage this thing to come back together, because I think that I think that the city is a good place, and when we do these things together, we go far. So my experience was that we had a shuttle driver go pick Sam up, and when he dropped her off, he followed her to the cashier's register, and she contacted me. Very new into town, just a few days into town. She contacted me and said, "Hey, I've got some concerns. I feel like this guy followed me to make sure I'd pay my bill, and I felt unsafe with it." And my initial feeling was, kind of panic, because it's like uncomfortable, and I really respect the people that I work with, and I specifically understand the gentleman that she's talking about, and that's not him. He's a little peculiar if you've ever taken a ride with him, not in a bad way, but he's kind of quiet and whatever, and that's not this guy. So anyway, long story short, I met with her I met with her here, and we had a conversation about it, and I wasn't really sure where it went, but what we ended up with was an understanding, and she understood where I was coming from, I understood where she was coming from, and it felt very, we're going to tackle this thing, we're going to get this thing, we're going to whatever. And I think sometimes this work has that kind of energy, and I understand that because of all of the things that people are trying to achieve when they're working inside this kind of work. So my hope is this. My hope is for the city that it doesn't tear us apart, that it, in some way, no matter how much of a long shot it seems, we can figure out a way for it to bring us together and continue doing the work, because I think it is important. And thanks for your time. Thank you.
Monique Scarlett, 3823 Jones Street, Sioux City, Iowa. My plan was not to say a word tonight. However, I feel compelled because of what I represent as unity in this city. And I am here, I'm very concerned about the position, the future, and what has transpired and learning curves and moving forward as a city together. I want to thank those that took the time out to talk with me as much as you could because of legality reasons. And that would be Councilwoman Julie and Alex and Mayor Scott. I appreciate your time and saying what you could legally. Because I am concerned, as our president of the NAACP, Ike Rayford, has mentioned, I'm heavily involved in the community, and I always try to do the right thing at the right time for all people. And I just believe that the unrest is because we work so diligently for so many years to make this position to be what it is. And for someone like Simhar to go forward in the unknown, a city she didn't know, and make so many positive connections and so much growth, it is going to be obviously a caution for our community to come together and show our support, not only for Simhar, but the support of this position and the support of the Inclusion Advisory Committee. And I want our council to know that, I do believe that we can come together in a roundtable discussion legally, or whatever it takes, to make sure that we secure this position and the future of our city to work together in a spirit of unity and learn from these things that might have been taken in error or not done intentionally, but taken that way. And so we need to move forward. And I am very concerned, and hopefully that we can bring resolution and a resolvement as quickly as possible to ease the unrest in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Council concerns. Matthew.
Let's see, so I was at student-teacher conferences last week, so I was unable to attend our meeting. So I am about a week behind, but I did attend the Junior League prom. I had a blast. I thought it was a great event they put on. And it was really rewarding because they nominated a prom king and prom queen. And so I'm a little late on this, but I'd like to congratulate Alex DeLau and his wife, Mary. Alex was my brother-in-law's wrestling coach, and he's impacted a lot of youth's lives. So it was really rewarding to see somebody who's given a lot to our community get that recognition. So, and that's everything.
I don't have much to add. I was absent last week. I did attend with the mayor and Dan, the NAACP Annual Freedom Fund Banquet. It was very entertaining, very meaningful, very well put together. I'm glad to see it back. It's been absent for a few years. It was a sold-out event, and as I said to Monique, anytime you have a sold-out event, it proves that it's a relevant event. So I was super proud to be able to go. I'm looking forward to next year. Probably have to get a bigger room, but it was well attended, and everything was managed and put together very nicely.
I hope that everyone can make their way out to the NAIA National Championships being held here in Sioux City, not only to be able to cheer on those athletes that come to our community. I think sometimes it's been in our community for so long, it's lost on us how exceptional of an opportunity this is, but in a lot of these athletes' world, this is the pinnacle. This is when they've made it, and they are very, very excited to be in our community, to be able to chase that national championship. And so I would hope that our community would not only welcome them and be excited for them to be here, but also take an opportunity to go down to the Tyson Event Center and cheer them on. Whether it's a team that you're following and you're excited about, or you just wanted to go down and catch the action and support those women that are playing a high level of basketball. It's really a great time. So I would encourage everyone to get out there and support that. With that, I have nothing.
You'll be there at 3 o'clock rooting on the Bulldogs, I hope.
Yeah, maybe. They play Thursday or what?
Yeah. Mr. Moore.
I have nothing further, Mayor.
I have two things. One, it seems like now that we have MetroLink in town, everybody else is burying MetroNet, well, whatever.
I got you.
Burying and leaving these ugly above ground Sparklight, I hope you're listening, junction boxes. I know the rest of you won't support it. It's time for a moratorium on any more fiber in this community until we set standards of what's acceptable. 3-foot ugly 1x1 green pedestals in people's front yards that kids come and knock over all the
I'm
time.
just going to say they're.
Unacceptable. They either.
Or
bury-
leftover cable that's
Right,
just
or
hanging.
leftover cable. They either need to bury this stuff. I just think we need a moratorium until we establish what the rules are to put fiber in this community. I mean, a lady, I sent Bob a picture, a lady on Strawberry Point. They haven't had anything shown in their neighborhood. Now that Metro, whatever they are, is out, then Sparklight all of a sudden goes in their neighborhood and buries a bunch of cable, but they're putting theirs above ground. They're not burying the boxes. And it's just unbelievable to me what's going on in our community. And, you know, I've complained for 4 years driving down Hamilton that those kids knock those phone company boxes over. We don't require them to fix them. We don't require them to bury them. And, you know, Mid-America puts junction boxes in the ground. I put a lot of them in myself back in the day. That's the way you bury stuff. You bury it. That's why it's underground. So I'm not going to vote for another, allow any more of those, Gordon.
Well, aren't our hands tied? I mean, we have to allow it, but I don't know if we can set standards for at least what's buried or what's
I hope we can
not.
at least set minimum standards. Anyway, I don't know what the answer is, but I'd like you guys in the engineering committee to work on that because it's going to get out of hand this summer. You can see it coming.
Gordon, would you add that to our agenda? Thank you.
And I just want to say the chief is probably not here, but he did a really good job in donkey basketball Saturday night. He only got bucked off, I counted 3 times, so is he a little sore today?
Yeah, he's a little sore.
Where
Elbow
was
hurts
that?
a bit.
Wasn't that out of town?
No, Christian school, and I've never been to a donkey basketball game. If I never go to another one, it'll be soon enough, but yeah, he got thrown off a few times, so it was a good evening to see him do that. Appreciate him helping. Move we adjourn.
Second.
Shaner.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
O'Kane.
Aye.
I apologize.
No.